Remember when Biden? I'd like to take him to the back of the barn. I dream of that. You know what I do with him? Oh, I dream of it. I'd hit him right in that fake nose. That fake nose. They'd have plastic lying all over the floor. But I don't want to say that.
I don't want to say it. I just said it right before I said I don't want to say that. Again, so back, we're talking about the hits from the original Donald Trump 2016 run. It's violence. It's talking about banning people and how much you hate the other. And now it's back to punching again because, I remember that time that Biden said something about being a tough guy. I'd punch him in his nose. Except he said one thing that stuck with the real visual people in this country. Some people call them QAnon. Because after he said that, some folks jumped on it and said, I knew it. In fact, let's go to this random crazy person on the internet. He said, Trump once said that Biden is a different person who doesn't know he's alive. He's remembering all this. Now he says he punches fake plastic nose off. Would he be saying these things if this were all part of a benevolent secret patriot plan? The truth is, he said, based off of, I want to pause every time someone says the truth is, based off of what should be your first question. This guy says the truth is the cabal put a rapidly aged clone of Joe Biden in the White House because that's the only puppet they believed they could justify stealing the election with. That makes no sense. White hats aren't running a show. Good doesn't pretend to be evil. Trump isn't the president. We're watching a black hat clone show. Be proactive, not complacent. What are we afraid of? Even if all that's true, Viviana, what exactly are we afraid of? What's the white hats not running the show? And if Trump's not running the country, but then I guess a gelatinous version of Joe Biden is, who is doing it? Because I heard it was Obama last week before it was Hillary Clinton, and then after it was Bill. I don't know anymore. I think that's the point, though.
No, that's what they want us to not know. First of all, they need to know what biology and sciences are all about, okay? If he is a lizard man, his nose is not plastic. It cuts off like their tail and it just regenerates. So it's not plastic at all. He's just used to all the plastic surgery around him. That's why he got confused.
Yeah, this is why I'm glad you're on the show today. I wouldn't have known that at all.
The lizard prince, here is the real horrible thing that's going on. Yeah, Biden actually isn't really that in power. It's the DNC that's in power, just like it's the RNC that's in power. Well, they're a little rickety as well. The DNC has a lot of power, and that's why we didn't see Biden. That's why we didn't see, why am I blanking on his name? Bernie in the race the last election cycle, because the DNC has so much power, they'll push out anybody they want. And they are propping up Biden. So these crazy lunatics who believe in gelatinous masses are not that off that it is some sort of like figurehead. That's how we ended up having Feinstein in office until the end of her life. We need to really take control of the DNC and make sure that it's a more valid organization right now and not just power hungry grabs that Nancy Pelosi runs. Come on, lady.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people continue to support that system based off of the fear that the other party would somehow benefit from pulling back from, or at least taking some of the power and voice away from some of these large organizations that help run the party, or at least kind of be the voice of the party and who gets these opportunities. There's a fear based off it, so we end up with the Joe Bidens of the world, which are like,
but then you end up with crazy things, saying like gelatinous plastic people. It's not that complicated. It's a little bit more basic than that, and it's been the history of politics forever, really. And so we just always have to question power. We always have to question those that are in power. That includes Joe Biden. If Trump comes in, we're gonna ask him. We're not gonna get any answers from him, but we can continue to question him as well. That's what our responsibility as a society is. And so it's easy to get distracted with all this nonsense, especially when you have somebody crazy like Donald Trump up there. But the DNC is not making it any easier because it has become a this or that. And the Simpsons have a really great episode about that with Kane and Konos, the aliens. And they're like, it's a two-party system. You got to vote for one of us. They're both aliens. The aliens
were always on point. You mentioned history, and I think you also mentioned the craziness behind it. Let's combine those two, because Donald Trump had a little bit of a history lesson, and he also somehow melded himself into it. That's not the surprising part. Surprising part is how ridiculously clueless he is. Watch this.
Look what happened this weekend with two good people. They hound them and they scare them but we don't get scared. We don't get scared. I'll tell you what. I don't mind being Nelson Mandela because I'm doing it for a reason.
Nelson Mandela was charged with having organized an illegal strike and with leaving the country without valid travel documents. On the trip in question, he had traveled to Addis Ababa to attend the Pan-African Freedom Movement of East and Central Africa Conference in February of 1962 to rally support for MK, an underground wing of the African National Congress. You tell me if that has anything to do with what Donald Trump is dealing with.
Where's Will Smith when we need him? We needed him to go up there and then say, "You take Mandela's name out of your mouth." That's what I needed in that moment. How dare he?
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.